Hi, I'm talking to you today about back pain, and most people, if they have back pain, are scared of moving, or they've tried something, or they've had sort of short-lived results. So they might find that they get better for 2 days and then the pain just comes back, or they can get short-term relief with massage, or they get short-term relief with physio, or they get short-term relief with chiro, but they're not getting that lasting benefit. And then basically what is going on is they're treating and managing what we call the symptoms. So they're treating and managing what is presenting to them, which is the pain or the tightness or the muscle spasm, or the lack of flexibility or the stiffness. But what they're not doing is working out what's actually causing that to start with. So that's where our approach is different. What we want to do is manage that bit, because then the rest of it will fall into place and you'll start getting results that last longer than 2 days or 3 days or 4 days, and you'll get results that will last that fair bit longer. And a misconception is that to manage back pain has to be really complicated, and it has to involve this and it has to involve that, where what we found in our approach is that it's actually quite simple, because you're coming in for treatment, or you're coming in, or you're getting your massage, or you're coming in and you're getting your hands-on physio management, but that's happening once or twice a week for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, or whatever it is that you spend on there, and then you completely disregard what you're doing for the rest of the time. So, if at the end of the day, if you've got 7 days a week, 24 hours in those 7 days a week, and you're really just managing your back for 2 of those hours, then you're not going to get any lasting results, because you're not doing anything effectively to change how you use your back, or how your muscles integrate, or how you function for the rest of that time. So that's where we're looking at changing how you think, because it doesn't have to be a massive amount that you do. It just has to be consistent and small little incremental changes that you make throughout your day that can have a big impact on how you move and how you function. So one of the biggest things that we find is that obviously everyone's got onto, we need to have a good core, we need to have good core strength, we need to have this, we need to have that. But building up core strength on a body that's already compressed actually can make it worse, which is why you then find if you go to boot camp or PT and you work too much, your pain actually gets worse, and it's because you're then putting more pressure. So if I just stand up for a minute and I show you my spine at the back here, if I'm actually standing and I'm in sort of a poor posture here, you'll see that what happens at the base of my spine is it's all compressed, where if I stand in that position here, my spine is nice and it opens up a little bit more, where when I lean back, basically what I'm doing is putting compressive forces through that spine. And then what happens is that compressive forces give you pain because you're getting pressure. And then on top of that, you get your muscle spasm. So you go and get released, and you go and get your treatment, and you go and get your massage, and that feels a bit better because all the muscles feel a bit happier and they're no longer compressing. And then throughout the week, you get tighter and tighter again. And then you put your pressure and your compression back. So that's basically why things happen. So what we want to do is to find out, what are you doing day to day that is actually causing that, and then how can we change that around so that you get the results you want for long term. So if you're then releasing these, and you're then making sure that these muscles here aren't pulling down and they aren't compressing you then want that to get stronger, so you stay in that position in there. And that's where you need to be really specific. Is it the fact that the muscles in the back are tight, so they're short and they're not letting you move, so that's why they're compressing? Is it the fact that they're working too hard, so what happens is they're compressing down? Is it the fact that it's your posture, and your postures are putting pressure on your facet joints, and your facet joints aren't load bearing? That's not their job. So when you load bear them, they will feel pain. So that's the bit that most people miss. They miss what is causing my pain. We know it's in the back. We know you have back pain. We know you have X, Y, and Z, but you need to really target what is your pain coming from to be able to address it. And then once you've got that answer, then you need to know what to do about it. So you might find that massage relieves it, and massage feels better, and massage is helpful, but what you're not then doing is then taking away some of that muscle spasm, you then need to replace it with something else that functions and works so it actually supports you. If you've got compression on your joints, you need to learn how to stop it compressing and then hold it out of the position that you're compressing. So that might mean some posture education. So for somebody who presents and they're in that type of sway back posture here, we might actually re-educate how you stand so you stand a bit better. It might be that, you know, your exercise is to just relieve pressure that way, or you might find that that's what you do. You put your hands down on the shopping trolley, or you lean back and you stretch to get that bit of relief. Or you might find, simple as I'm doing here, you just perch on a bed because it takes away the posture. You haven't got that load compressing in your lumbar spine. So this is really the key in managing pain. What is pain coming from? Not where is the pain now and what does it feel like and what's, you know, what do we need to do to get rid of it? Everybody can do that bit, you know. We can find out how to massage and release and what have you, and you can find out that hot packs work and medication works. What you need to go is go a step deeper and find out why is that happening in the first place, because that's the bit that needs addressing, and that's the bit most people miss. So that's what we're really good at. We're really good at finding out what's that first step. What is it that is that bit that's then causing you to have pain? Because we can fix the pain, but it will come back unless you address that bit there. And that is it in a nutshell, really. If you're looking to have a long-term solution for your problem and looking to have a long-term solution for your pain, that's where you need to tick and that's where you need to target. You should know, if I'm standing for a long time, I'm getting pain, and then if I do that, I need to unload my back and I need to do it by sitting down. On top of that, I get muscle spasm. So with that muscle spasm, if it gets too much, I need to do some releases. And then because it's automatically going to reload and go back into that position, what am I going to do to prevent it? Well, I'm going to strengthen these muscles specifically here to keep me in a better position, but I'm also going to work on unloading my spine throughout the day. So what most people do is they then just go, yep, I've had some relief, and they just go about their normal day, and they're not thinking about how they're then reloading it, and you're not thinking about how things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis are actually exacerbating it. So if you're typically on a Monday morning, you've had the weekend off and you feel good, and by the end of the afternoon or by the end of the morning you're starting to get sore and that loading problem is continuing, so by the time you get at night you just want to collapse in the chair, and that accumulates up until Thursday, Friday, where you are just, you've had it and you're gagging for the weekend again, then that's maybe what we call a loading problem. Your body's loaded, it's fatiguing, it's working too hard in terms of the muscles might be in spasm as well, and that's not going to change unless you find out how to unload it regularly during the day. Because what you're doing is basically doing that all day and going, okay, Fridays, let's just stop and give it a break, and then your finger feels great, and then you go back on Monday and do exactly the same thing. And that's why it doesn't change, because you're not giving it breaks during the day. So if you sit there and bend your finger back, you can be there for a minute or two and it's not going to be a problem, but come 5 minutes time you're going to go, oh, that's really sore and that's really stiff and I need to move it. But you do that all day to your back or your upper back or your neck or wherever you find that your pain level is. And what we do is go, yep, I'll wiggle it just at the weekend, or I'll do it at night, but the whole day I'm just going to put stress on it and not worry about what's causing it. So that's where you need to look, and that's where you need help, because you can't generally work that out on your own. You can have a really good guess at where it is happening, but you need to then work, what are you doing day to day that is putting pressure on something, or stress or fatigue or overwork, so those tissues, structures, joints, ligaments, whatever it might be, then produce pain. Because the pain side of it, like I said, most people can fix. Most people can give you some relief, they can give you some mobilizations, you can go to chiro, you can get some massage, you can use a heat pack, you can use painkillers. What you're not fixing is what's causing that pain in the first place, and that's the bit that needs to be addressed. So that's our little specialty, that's what we do really well, and that's what we're experts at. So if you have had pain that is ongoing, it keeps coming back, you can get relief for maybe a couple of hours or a couple of days, but then you go back to square one, you're missing a key section of your rehab or a key section of your management that, unless you address it, is never going to change. And that's the key that you need to be aware of. Unless you address why the pain is happening, you're not going to change it. You can address where it's happening and what level it's at. That's quite easy. But working out where and why it's happening and where that is originating from is the bit that generally needs a bit of help. And we've got probably a wealth of experience in our studio that can help you through that. So if you think that you need that help and you want to make an active change, and that means being proactive, that means that we're not going to say, look, go away and do these 3 times a day or 10 minutes at the end of the day. It means that you have to start thinking about what you're doing with your body every single day. And it might be something as simple that we might give you, which is, you know, when you stop the car in the traffic lights, just sit back in the chair and sit upright, take some pressure off your spine, be aware of where you're sitting. It might be something simple like if you're sitting on the desk all day, whenever you change your computer program, just stand up and stretch, because you're unloading the problem. And it just depends on what the problem is as to what we might give you. It might be that you have to do some stretches. It might be that you have to do some trigger point release. It might be that you need to get more flexible. It might be that you have to work on your core. And there's a myriad of all different things that need to come together to be able to then help you get pain-free long term. But you should have a management strategy that works for you. So if you have a problem here and it feels tight, you do this stretch. If you have a problem here where it's catching, ouch, then you avoid that and you do this. If you have a problem here where it's doing, you know, tightness by the end of the day, then you do some releases. There should be something specific that is specific to strategize how you manage your problem. It shouldn't just be, oh, well, I'll try a bit of this and I'll try a bit of that, and I've got a list of 20 exercises to go through, so I'll just do all those 20 and hope one of them works. It should be, A happens, we do this. B happens, we do this. C happens, we do this. If I don't get any help and any benefit, then maybe I need to seek some help and get a little bit of hands-on. But I've got a little myriad of a menu or a toolbox that I can start with to see how I go. So that's what we're about at Core Fusion. We are about being able to give you your way to manage your problem in a way that makes sense to you, in a way that feels good for you, and in a way that you will see that you're getting results by doing what you do, not that you have to rely on us to help you all the time. Obviously we will help you, but we want you to be able to maintain that, because having somebody who is able to be pain-free or comfortable for 2 days and then goes back to square one, that's not managing, that's putting a sticky plaster over, and you're just prolonging the problem. So that, you know, what happens if you get pain on a Friday night or a Saturday night and you've got 2-3 days before you can get into any help? You want to have some solutions that work for you, and that's what we aim to do. We aim to give you solutions that you can work with, that make sense, that's easy, and that you can work with at home. So if you're interested, obviously under this video we'll have a link to our studio, which is our brick and mortar studio. So we're based in Hillary's in WA. All of us that are here we're not green, we've all been around the traps and we've all got heaps of experience under our belts, and that's why we're good at what we do. But we also have an online solution as well. So we have an online website for those of you that are not based locally for us, and there'll be a link under the video for that as well. So take care. If you want a long-term strategy for your back pain, it can be done, and it's not as hard as you think. It is really about rethinking and relearning how you manage your pain, to break it down into sizable chunks that relate to what you're getting, not to what Google says or what, you know, neighbour down the road says or what, you know, Facebook has recommended. It's what are you getting now, what brings that on that makes it worse and makes it better, combined with what we see and what we're finding when we look at you specifically. And with that information, you can then get a management strategy that should work for you, and it should work for you long term if you're prepared to put in the time and effort to do that. So take care. Back pain isn't for life. Back pain is a way of changing if you give it the chance to, and if you make the effort to make it change, it can change. Thanks for watching.